Me, I want to
I'm
know about the
saying,
Bible. What is the name of the Bible that you were printing out for?
I wasn't printing, I was uploading it on the servers. It's in a PDF form.
What's the
So
name?
they,
Does it have a name, or it's just
yeah, it's just a Satanic Bible by Alistair Crowley.
where do they get their
Alistair
scriptures from? The
Crowley.
Bible, from our Bible.
So it's not, there's a few references of the verses in the Bible that they quote in there,
Okay.
but then they kind of pervert the explanation. For instance, I would say, um, there's a quote in in the Bible, it talks about fornication, the implication of fornicating, right? The spiritual implication of fornicating and maybe the physical. But in that book, it's the opposite. They preach about sexual desires, and you can have multiple sexual partners. It's about expression, self-expression, living in your feminine sexuality, stuff like that. That's the first chapters. He dives into the fact that we live a life of restriction. We are not allowed to be ourselves, express our power, indulge in the pleasures of life because of the type of God that we follow. But he's a God of, you can freedom, free will. They use that word free will quite a bit.
Was it really that
The chapters
terrifying?
that I read were, obviously the introductory part, how the Satanic Church was founded, the originator of the church, and how Aleister Crowley kind of expanded the Satanic Church, and then he dives into what the devil stands for and what he wants for his followers. And then it goes into the practicing, like the mass, the same way at the Catholic Church we do mass. I'm no longer a Catholic, but when I was there, they do mass. So they dive into the ritual, how the mass goes, what they need to do during mass. It dives into magic, unaliving of people and how you can perform that magic. If that magic doesn't work, you can physically unalive a person. So long you really, really need to get rid of that person, you have immense hate for them. They do. Allow that to happen. They also talk about how, these rumors out there that they unalive small people in our society, and they kind of double down on how that's untrue. But I kind of found it very contradictory, because you're saying that you can unalive somebody if you really, really hate them. You can do it either physically or putting a hex on them. So like doing witchcraft on them, but then they turn around and say they don't do that to young ones in our society, which is, I think it's hypocritical.
So in the
And
book,
then
he
another,
actually confirms that they do these rituals of sacrificing people.
they do, yeah. I'm telling you, that's what I read. They actually do, and they give you ways of how you can do it. One way is through witchcraft, putting a hex on somebody that you want to be unalived. The second option, if you truly have so much hate of that person and you want to completely get them off of this earth, you can do it physically. Okay? But they give you the option to do it through witchcraft, so you don't have to get your hands dirty, and also you don't have to get in trouble with the laws of the land, like going to jail and stuff. Um, and then it dives into the Black Mass, what they do at the Black Mass. Um, if you've seen Kanye West, a long time ago, it was his birthday, he had a woman laying on the table with no clothes. They had sushi on top of her, and they were eating off of her naked body. I had to rewind myself back to, I saw those videos, but at the time I thought, oh, it's, rappers are crazy. They do crazy things. People say Kanye West is crazy. He's not crazy, you know? So I understood the videos that Kanye did when I read this Bible, because during Black Mass, there's a naked person, a woman, a female, they lay them on the table, kind of like those surgical tables. They just lay there as they came into this world, no clothes, nothing. And then it has to be a specific person. They just don't choose a random woman. it has to be an S worker. Like, you know what an S worker is, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to say the word schmex worker. So it has to be a schmex worker, because that schmex worker, that S worker, has already opened their bodies up to be defiled. So they are eligible to partake in the Mass. So they are laid on the table. On the other hand, they hold a chalice. You know, a chalice, you know, like those old king, queen glass they drink from. If you watch the medieval royal movies, like the British series and stuff, so she holds a chalice. It has to have either two things. It can be urine from an S worker, or the red stuff. You know, when you cut yourself, the red stuff from an S worker. Okay,
Hmm.
in that cup.
The
And
red
then on
stuff
the
that
other,
they release during their time.
it can be that, or maybe I don't know. They didn't say. It just says the red stuff.
Or you can
So I
actually
can.
they can actually be cut for that ritual.
Yeah, either they cut themselves, or it's the stuff we women release on a monthly cycle. They didn't specify what type, but it just said it has to be specifically from an S worker. Okay, here on TikTok they call them 304s. So on the other side, that's why I said that point that they do not unalive young kids to be contradictory, because they say on the other side she has to hold a candle, and the candle has to be made specifically from fat from babies.
Fat.
Fat from babies. Okay, I'm just saying the word babies, but it can be a newborn, it can be maybe a toddler, it can, so. And then that woman lying on there, her legs have to be thrust. So meaning that you have to open yourself as if you're trying to do sexual stuff. If you just picture like sexual stuff with your partner, she has to be like that.
What is
You
smack
know
show?
that? Huh?
What is smack show?
I don't want to say the word. You know what it is. People on TikTok know what this word is.
Okay.
When a man and a woman go in the bedroom and do stuff, that's what I mean.
Oh, Jerusalem. Okay, okay.
Jerusalem. So she has to be in a position where she's trying to do Jerusalem. Okay.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't know what, and then they can do whatever to her while they are chanting. So they are chanting some spells or something, some words, some witchcrafty words. And then at that point the devil can appear, in that instance, okay, because this is a big ceremony. This is like a big black mass is like their big ceremony, okay? So they chant the words, and then they chant the book of Psalms. The book of Psalms, they chant that entire book upside down. So they backwards, okay?
Okay, when you say upside down, what do you mean? They start from the end to the beginning.
Yeah. And then the devil can appear, some spirits. So they are using that woman is a vessel for the devil to channel through. That's what the book says. It's a channel. So it's easier because she's already her body. So that's why God says in the Bible that your body is the temple of the Lord, right? So
Mm.
that they choose a woman who's already been with multiple men, because her body is already defiled. So it's easier for spirits to manifest through her, bad spirits to manifest into her, because she's already been defiled. Make sense? So
Hmm. Okay,
those are the few things I read.
so they choose a body that has been desecrated, a body that can no longer have any light of the Holy Spirit in it, a
Correct.
body that is finished,
Exactly.
so that the devil can come through that body.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
when that's why that book of yours, the ejaculation spirit book, I think people need to read it. This world is a dark world. It is a dark place we live in. That book kind of opened me up to a lot of things that I thought were not true, but they're actually doing it. And these people are so dedicated. They are so dedicated. They follow each and every rule in that fucking book. They are so, they are so dedicated. It's crazy.
They follow everything in the book.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I once told people, that if Christians, if believers would follow the Bible in its entirety and stick to its principles, their lives will change. Do you know Satanists, they don't compromise when it comes to their faith, to the things that they believe in. They stick to the rules. They do it in a way that pleases Satan. You can't afford to mess up if you are worshiping the devil.
Another point I forgot to add, now that the Didi case came and gone, another part I read is Jerusalem magic. Jerusalem magic. People don't talk about this, but it's real and it's happening. And if there's anything that Didi's case highlighted, is the Jerusalem magic. And in this book, it specifically states, it has a chapter for Jerusalem magic alone. Okay.
The sodomy.
And everything, but they just blanket it in S magic, Jerusalem magic.
Okay.
Yes, smirks magic. Yes. So when people that are not spiritually awake, they thought Didi's trial was just a man who was freaky and enjoyed to do these things. This is far beyond being freaky and being oiled up, because that chapter talks about, and I'll send you the PDF. Just send me your email. You send me your email, I'll send it to you via email. But that chapter talks about how you can succeed in the Jerusalem magic, what you need to do. It details every single step. Okay, whether you want power or whether you want material things, there are specific things you need to do to achieve what you want. Okay, and if you cannot physically perform the Jerusalem yourself, you can get others to do it for you. And if you followed Didi's court case, he was hiring escorts to do that for him while he watched. Okay. And to make it worse, he had, if it was just for pleasure, the room wouldn't have been set up the way Didi's rooms were being set up. The lighting had to be a certain way. There had to be different, music, the ambience, that whole thing. Okay. If it's just two people, they are swingers, they like to do that stuff, they wouldn't be planning like the way Didi was planning, you know? So when when I was reading, because I followed that case from the start to the end, I put myself back and I said, wait a minute. I opened that PDF. I have it in my phone. I opened that PDF. I went exactly to the Jerusalem magic chapter. I read it again. I said, wait a minute. This is not freaky stuff.
This is not for enjoyment.
This is not for enjoyment. He was not doing that for enjoyment. It was a currency for him, either to get more power or to get more material possessions of this world. It wasn't for fun. It wasn't for fun.
That's why you would invite more people and hire more people to come and
Exactly,
do those
exactly.
other
Because
people who get invited.
exactly, I think he was incapable of performing the ritual himself. That's why he constantly hired others to do it. And why he specifically picked escorts that are already defiled. You know what I mean? They're already
Yeah.
defiled, so it's much easier for the spirits to channel through them. So I truly believe that wasn't just for pleasure, because everything was strategic. He set up the room. There has to be red lighting, ambience music, the tools needed, and he would just sit there and watch. Why? Because it's a process, and that book details it. If you can't do it yourself, you can get others to perform the magic for you to get what you want.
Do you know? Okay, I think I should go through that chapter as well. I once told people as well that the African prophets, these ones that we have in Africa, they have about 3 meetings that they do here in South Africa, And in these three meetings, they are very private meetings. And when they come for those meetings, they are not allowed to bring phones, they're not allowed to bring anything. It's for 3 days. The first day, they are mixed up with women, they have a good time with women. And on the second day, they have to submit to Satan, double-sided men who will now be doing them, who will now be doing Jerusalem with them. Now I'm connecting it with the chapter that you are saying you read, that they hire even people to come and
Mm-hmm.
do this Jerusalem with
I
their
have, I
plan.
think I have I took a screenshot of it. I don't know if you want me to share it here. I think I have it in my Google Photos somewhere.
My people,
Um,
do you want to read it? Do you have the heart to read it?
I'm not scared. I sleep
No, I'm
soundly
talking
at
to
night.
people here. Yeah, you can share it. Let's see.
Oh, I'm gonna have to come back because I have to leave, get it, and then share it on this. I'll just take a screenshot
All right, you do that.
because I think I recorded a video. I sent it to my guy, and he was like, "Don't send me anymore."
Are you serious? It was that.
But it's very. I think for a normal for a normal Christian who's not exposed to that world is not ready. You know, is not ready to be told this world actually exists. I think some of them are just okay with living without knowing that it actually happens.